we're speaking about something very important, a broken heart. Who has not experienced that, right? We are going to speak about a broken heart in a very special way. And I hope, Bezrat Hashem, that you will feel very comfortable to jump in the conversation, ask your question, comment, criticize, whatever you feel like. You're welcome to jump in. We're here to share tonight, right? So here you have the summary. So I'm not going to go through the summary. I'll let you dive in the text, even like if you have a Chumash at home with a translation in English, try to read it on Shabbat. It's really so interesting how the Torah is always speaking to us about the subject that we need to hear this week. You know, we say the Torah is the Torah Chaim, the Torah of life. It has not been given to our ancestors. No, I'm sorry. I'm old. I'm old enough to keep my glasses. It has not been given to our ancestors on the year 2448 of the Jewish calendar only. It is given to us every single day, again and again. It is given to us every single day, and we are actually learning and are able to really get the answers to our questions, to our challenges in the Torah. We don't have any more prophets in this era. Since the destruction of the Second Temple, we are now in an era of Da'at Torah, right? Of the knowledge of Torah. And all the questions that we have now, we have to turn to our Rabbanim, to Rabbi Lipskar, to the Rabbanit, in order to have answers to what the Torah says about my problem, right? So tonight, I wanted to speak about Parashat Ki Tissa. It's a beautiful parasha, but before that, I'm going to, you know, like in the series on Netflix, you have this, so last episode, something happened, right? So I'm going to bring you back to a few episodes ago in order to take you with me into the relationship between Hakadosh Baruch Hu and Am Yisrael. I want to create a parallel, and I want to invite you. I don't take you with me, but I'm inviting you to follow me on that, okay? So I forgot to print my paper, so I'm going to go there. So basically, I want to try to draw a large picture at the history of Am Yisrael until today. Not today, until our parasha. Otherwise, we're here until next month. Okay, so basically, we are going to start this at Sefer Shemot, which is called the Exodus. Exodus in English? I don't know if we pronounce it very well. Exodus. Sorry for my English. So we are going to start at the Sefer Exodus. We are still in that Sefer for a few more weeks, then we're going to Vayikra. So during Exodus, what do we discover? We discover that a group of individuals called the Ivrim, the Hebrews, right, who were part of a big family. At the head of that family was Avraham Avinu and Sarah Imenu, right? Their descendants, who are also the descendants of his grandchild called Jacob, right? Their descendants are called the Bnei Israel, with Yosef, who is one of the 12 children of Yaakov, right? They are all going to be dragged into Mitzrayim. So that's at the end of the Sefer of Genesis, Bereshit. Now we're opening the Sefer of Shemot, and what do we discover? We discover that those Ivrim who arrived in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, as free people, who were actually really cool people. Why? Because Joseph Joseph, when he arrived in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, he actually was the vice king of Egypt, and he saved the entire region. So thanks to that Hebrew, the entire region was saved from hunger, right? Therefore, everybody felt like those Jews are so popular. A little bit like when I arrived in Miami 20 years ago in the US, it was very popular to be a Jew, right? Today, if you speak to people from Manhattan, New Jersey, they're going to tell you, wow, like it's a little bit more challenging right now to show off your kippah in the street or your Magen David in the street. So when Shemot opens, when we open the book of Exodus, we end up seeing that these people, these individuals, this big family, very large family, actually became enslaved, right? So we are 210. Hello, how are you? Well, thank you for coming tonight. So they became enslaved. And as they became enslaved, we see a group, one of the Shvatim, one of the tribes of Israel, called the Levi, the tribe of Levi, right, was not enslaved because they didn't want to be part of that big project. And in that family, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, was born. At that moment in history, in Exodus, he was born, and as you probably all know, he was given as a baby. He was left on the Nile. He was saved by Batia, right, the daughter of Pharaoh, and he was raised in the palace of Pharaoh, right, as his adopted grandson. He was the brother of two very important characters of the Torah that are Aaron, who will become the first big priest of the Am Israel, Aaron HaKohen, we will call him, and Miriam, right? Miriam Hanevia. You have an Aaron? Yes, your son. Okay. So we see that there is Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam, who are going actually to be the vehicles for the freedom of the Ivrim from Mitzrayim, from Egypt. Moshe Rabbeinu has a first encounter with Akadosh Baruch Hu, with Hashem, with God, through the burning bush. Have you heard about the burning bush? You're all familiar with that? He was exiled from Egypt at one point, and he was taking care of his cattle. And suddenly, like, he walks and sees like a bush that doesn't burn, that is burning, but that doesn't consume itself, right? And through that, he stops, he goes, and he has a first encounter with Hashem. Hashem, at that moment, gives him the responsibility to become the leader of the Bnei Israel, of the Ivrim for the moment, right? So, so here we have Moshe Rabbeinu, who was born from one of the free tribe of the Ivrim. He was born in that moment where all his brothers, right, were in a state of slavery, okay, for 210 years. He is given that title of leadership for the Ivrim, and he will be the one who will go to Pharaoh and who will negotiate for his people to be free, to be redempted. Okay? What is going to happen? Something very weird. Hashem is going to harden the heart of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to let them go right away, right? What's happening? He's not going to let them go. They're going to have to go through 10 plagues. If any of you have attended a Seder on Pesach, you know the story of the 10 plagues, right? So we have the frogs, the locusts, everything, okay? And every time, all the Ivrim who are slaves see those miracles happening so that Pharaoh would let them go out, okay? But he doesn't until the last one, which is Makabechorot, the plague of the firstborn. And at that moment, Pharaoh decides to let them go. It's very important. I'm telling you those details. Why? Because we have to understand that this generation of Ivrim who were slaves in Egypt They were not like us. We live in an era, as I said earlier, of that Torah. We live in an era where we don't have an obvious revelation of Hashem, of God. We don't see God in front of us. We don't see obvious miracles. We hear some things that, wow, it's a miracle that this happened, right? Sometimes we tell ourselves, wow, it was a nest, it was a miracle, but it's not obvious. We don't see it like as an obvious miracle. Since the destruction of the temple, of the Bet HaMikdash, what happened? Hashem is hiding. He's concealed, right? He's very different. So we have to understand that they are totally different from us in that sense, that they have Hashem in front of them. They see open miracles, right? And we're going to see why it's so important to understand why they see open miracles. So they perceive Hashem, they feel him, they see him. We have to remember also that during this moment, the Ivrim were also very different from the Am Yisrael that we know today. When we think about Am Yisrael today, we think about a nation united, right? And we think about a nation of good people, mostly, right? When we think about it, it's true. Like, we represent goodness, kindness. We're good friends, good neighbors. We take care. We care for other people. We're sensitive to the world, not only to ourselves, but even to the world. When the army, which is called the IDF, Israel Defense Army, do you know any other army that is called a defense army? No, we attack, we crash, no. Am Yisrael's army is a defense army. We're not here to fight. We are good people, right? Even the way we eat, why do we eat kosher? Because we don't want to digest, to ingest any energy of aggressivity. And therefore, we only eat animals that have cute energy, good energy, right? No, but it's true. When you think about it, why? We don't want to ingest any energy of for instance, yeah, you have some birds that could be kosher, but you know what? Those birds, they destroy their prey before eating it. We're not going to eat them. Why? Because they destroy their prey. They are cruel. We don't want to ingest cruelty. And when you think about it, that's why we're such good people today. We are very compassionate. Why? Because it's generations and generations and generations of people who ate kosher. That's why it's so important to keep kosher, also to continue that legacy, to ingest only good energy, right? Well, that's a different step, a different thing. Okay, so I just want you to remember that we are so different from the Ivrim at that time. The Ivrim at that time were slaves. What happens with slaves? Imagine the closest, until 4 months ago, I would say the closest people to slave were the people who were held in the Holocaust, right? For 4 years, people who were held in the Holocaust, during the Holocaust in the camps of death, they were the closest a symbol of what a slave could be. Why? Because they were not in charge of themselves. They depended totally on the Nazis. They were dehumanized, right? They were numbers. They didn't have whatever they would do during the day. They didn't have an objective. They didn't have a destination, right? They were used as objects, right? And when you open an Agada, and by the way, at the end of the class, I will share with you an amazing Agada that you can already order now for Pesach. It's an Agada that shows you with drawings, very good illustration of what it was to be a slave over there. So when human beings is going, when a human being is going through such a difficult time, what happens? Do we have the luxury, do they have the luxury of thinking about the well-being of another friend? Of thinking about, did you have enough bread today? No. Why? Because they need to be self-centered. This is an instinct of survival. They are in a survival mode. Their main focus is staying alive, you know? It's exactly that. They have to stay alive. So they are not focused on anything else than themselves. When Moshe Rabbeinu sees those Ivrim that he has to take out of Egypt, right? He's facing people, individuals, who are everything but a nation. Because a nation is a group of individuals who have a common project, who want to be one in one area at least, right? This is absolutely not what the Ivrim were. Only 20% of the Ivrim will believe in redemption and will go and follow their leader, Moshe Rabbeinu, out of Egypt. How are they going to be saved? Again, open miracles. The sea that is going to open in front of them. Inside of the sea, they're going to walk dry feet. They will be able to eat from the trees that were planted in the sea. It doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense. It's total miracle. They go out of Egypt knowing, not believing in Hashem, knowing that Hashem is there. That's the difference between a believer and someone who knows, right? We don't see HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They saw everything in open miracle. And they go out of Egypt. Now Hashem has a plan. Obviously, what is the plan for Am Israel? For the Ivrim is to become Am Israel, right? How do you take individuals that are selfish by obligation, right? How do you make them become one? How do you do that? The first thing is that whatever they needed, their vital needs, you have to cater. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is taking them in the desert, in the midbar. And at that moment, what is he going to do? Provide for them every single need. Every vital need will be provided. They need to eat and drink. Eat, there will be the manna. Drink, the well of Miriam. You need to be clean, right? To wash yourself. No, you have the cloud of glory that will wash your clothes, and the clothes will grow as you grow. Wonderful. Oh my God, if we had that today, no more laundry, imagine. Amazing, who doesn't want that, right? Every single vital needs will be met. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care of them for everything, so that they can forget about their physical needs and rediscover something very important, their neshama. Because their body will be taken care of, the need of their body will be taken care of, they will be able to access who they truly are. And who are they truly? The descendant of Avraham Avinu, who was the Baal Chesed, who was the master of loving kindness, of Yitzchak, of Yaakov, of Yosef, of all those generations that we know from Bereshit, right? They are going to rediscover that. And they are going to really grow into sensitive people. And how are we going to achieve that also? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he sees that the Ivrim are becoming, again, human beings, sensitive people, able to reconnect to themselves and to the other, now it's time for Matan Torah, for the gift of Torah. He's going to give them the Torah. What is it exactly? The Torah is actually the contract that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving to the Ivrim, to the Bnei Israel, saying from now on, you are my chosen nation. Now that I see that you were able to go through slavery, to go out of slavery, to rebirth as a nation now that you are sensitive, I'm going to teach you. Now that you're ready, I'm going to teach you how to be that chosen people. And on the 6th of Sivan, he gives them the Torah, right? Right after that, and now we're going to be Parashat Mishpatim, so a few parashot ago. We're getting closer to the episode of today, don't worry. A few parashot ago in Mishpatim, he just gave them the 10 commandments, right? The 10 commandments are basic laws that tells you how to be, how to act between Ben Adam Lamakom, between Hashem and yourself, and and yourself and your Chaver, your fellow, right? These are the 10 commandments, and this is basic social laws and how to behave with God and with the other. But then in Parashat Mishpatim, Hashem is going to tell Moshe, to tell the Bnei Israel something deeper. I don't only want you to be regular good people. You're going to be my chosen one, right? What is a chosen one? When do you choose someone? When you have a very special relationship with him, right? You're going to be kadosh to me through that gift of Torah. The gift of Torah is like a ketubah between Hashem and the Bnei Israel. When Hashem gives the Torah to the Bnei Israel, he is actually saying, Areat mekudeshet li. You are becoming kadosh to me. Why? What is being kadosh? It's being separated, it's being distinguished. You are not like any other people to me. You are Am Israel. You are my beloved, my one and only. There is no other nation like you. Our relationship is something very different than any other relationship. How do we know that? Also in our life with our husbands, for instance, when we get married, okay, when we get married and we become kadosh to our husband, suddenly the relationship with our husband is not the same than with any other man. For instance, are you all married here? Not everybody. But when you get prepared for marriage, you learn the laws of achakot, which are the laws that manage the relationship between the husband and the wife during the period of nida. You heard about that already? Okay. So for instance, if I am a nida, I cannot pass a bottle of water to my husband, right? Why? Because he's very special to me. He's my husband. But if I am a nida, I can pass it to any other of your husbands. It doesn't matter. It will not create something special, right? So we have to understand the day we get married, and the day we get married, that man becomes distinguished from any other man. It's the same with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Am Israel. The day we received the Torah, we became the chosen nation, which is great, but it also gives us a lot of responsibility, because not one privilege in this world exists without responsibility. And what is our responsibility? To be an or lagoim, to be a light to the nation. That's another story. Okay, so I'm just going to take that out because sorry. So there is a relationship of love between Am Israel and us. And during Mishpatim, he's going to explain, for instance, how important it is to be sensitive to the orphan, to the widow, to the ger, to the convert, everybody. He's going to give all the details of the sensitivity that we should have towards the other in order to create really oneness. Because I don't feel Charlotte's body. I feel my body. My senses are attached and my sensors are only on my body. So if I want to put myself in Charlotte's shoes, for instance, I need to try to understand how you feel. So those laws make me put myself in anybody else's shoes, right? That's what the Torah is trying to achieve in those laws of Mishpatim. Then the parashot that follow actually set up the decor of a very important place that is going to be where Hashem wants to dwell. It's going to be the Mishkan. And during 4 parashot, we're going to have details of how to create that Mishkan. That Mishkan is the household of Hashem and Am Israel, where Am Israel and Hashem will love each other somehow, you know. And there's even like one place that is described several times that is called the Kodesh HaKodashim, so the Holy of Holies. And within that place, there is a beautiful, how do you say an Aron in English? Like the Aron HaKodesh? Ark, thank you. An ark, and inside of this ark are the Luchot. And today we're going to speak of the Luchot. On top of this ark, which is in the center of the Mishkan. So the Mishkan is like a portative, a mobile Bet HaMikdash, somehow that would follow the peregrination of the Bnei Israel in the Midbar and then in Shiloh. Inside, on top of that ark, lays 2 cherubim. Those cherubim, who are cherubs in English, right? Or beings that represent the intimate relationship between Hashem and Am Israel. And when Am Israel was faithful and in love with Hashem, let's say, they would be facing and hugging each other. And when they were not, they were giving back to back, okay? So this is just to explain how like we arrive now at this very special moment. So we understood that Hashem and Am Israel have a love relationship, and that the Torah is actually the ketubah, the contract of that marriage, right? Now we said the 6th of Sivan, we received, it was Matan Torah, and we celebrated today a Shavuot, right? What happened on the 7th of Sivan? Moshe Rabbeinu went up on Har Sinai for 40 days in order to receive the luchot, the tablets, right? The tablets. So he's going up and he's telling the people, those same people who went out of Egypt, who saw open miracles, listen to me. I'm going to go up on Har Sinai to receive the luchot, the tablets from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'll be back in 40 days. Now, during this time, yeah. No, Schwarzenegger said, I'll be back. But he said, I'll be back in 40 days. So he said, I'll be back in 40 days. And the thing is that 40 days after, so we are the 17th of Tammuz, what happens? Moshe Rabbeinu comes with the tablets. So the tablets have on one tablet, one side of the tablet represents the laws between Hashem and God, and the other tablets represent the laws between us and our fellows, right? The first tablets were given by God. They were they were carved by Hashem himself, right? And they were something divine. They were not crafted by human beings. They were crafted by Akadosh Baruch Hu, and they were a gift of Hashem for the Bnei Israel. So imagine Moshe Rabbeinu comes on the 17th of Tammuz, down after 40 days of intimate relationship, of a private encounter with Hashem for 40 days, right? He's the person who has the holiest relationship with and the closest relationship with Hashem. And he comes down with those tablets. And if you know a little bit the story, he comes down, and what is he expecting? He's expecting the people, the Bnei Israel, to be, oh my God, you're here. Here are the tablets. It's going to be beautiful. We're so happy. We are here to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're ready for that. Oh my God. And what does he come to? He comes to see those same people who have experienced open miracle, who have been the recipient of the love of Hashem, who understood that they were chosen to be the Or Lagoyim, to be a people of priests. He sees them dancing and worshiping a golden calf. They're back to idolatry? What do you mean? How is it even possible? How is it possible? So now we're going to switch the perspective. Why is it possible that it happened? Because the Bnei Israel didn't count correctly. We're good accountants, and sometimes we even have bankers among the Jews today. But at that time, they heard 40 days. They started counting before he goes up to Har Sinai. And in the morning of the 17th of Tammuz, what did they do? They said, okay, you know what? Moshe never came back. So we are left alone with no leader. And remember that they had been slaves for 10 generations at least, for 210 years. So they didn't really know yet how to deal with themselves. So what did they do? We cannot survive with no leader. We need a leader. Let's make a leader. And they go to the closest thing to a leader that they have, Aaron, HaKohen, right? The older brother of Moshe. And they tell him, you have to help us. We need to make a leader. And Aaron is going to try to find a way to make them wait, because he knows that they are wrong in their counting. But what can they do? He cannot tell like a crazy crowd to stop and wait. So he says, okay, we're going to gain time. Let's take the gold of your wives. The wives never want to get rid of their jewelry, so it's going to take time. And by then, Moshe is going to be arriving with the luchot, so we're good. But the truth is that Hashem made it super easy and super fast for them to be able to worship that idol of the golden calf. And here they are, just a few days after, 40 days after marrying Hashem. Imagine the bride is already cheating with her ex-husband, right? With her ex-fiance. Oh. This is a broken heart. It is not our heart that is broken. It is the heart of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Imagine, I took them out. I nourished them. I took care of them. I catered every vital needs. I did everything for them, and now look at them. They're cheating on me with a golden calf, right? What happens? Moshe Rabbeinu at that moment is obviously super disappointed, right? And he's holding something that is not his. Hashem says, I'm done with this marriage. I get rid of the Bnei Israel. The Bnei Israel will not exist anymore. That's it. No more. No más. Gracias. Ciao. Finito. Fini. I'm going to say it in French also. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, there's no way. There's no way this is ending now. No, 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 no. It can't be. Hashem, you can't erase them from the map. You promised them that they would, and you promised Abraham Avinu, and you promised all of us that you will be our God, and we're going to serve you, and it's going to continue. This marriage is going to continue. And he says, there's no way. Now, if you want descendants, it's going to be you, Moshe Rabbeinu. You will be the father of the future Bnei Israel, but those ones I don't want. Thank you. No, thank you. And so what is Moshe going to do? He's going to do something, an act that such a leader who has been in very private an encounter with Hashem would not have done. He's going to do something. He's going to sin. What is he going to do? He's going to drop the luchot, the tablets. Why is it a sin? This is not his tablets. Hashem gave him a gift. He's not allowed to break somebody else's gift, right? It's not his possession. He's going to break them and they're going to shatter. Why? Because now he's including himself with Am Israel. At that moment, something very special happens. He sinned, and because he sinned, he's now part of them. This was a moment when there was a big achdut. They became one at that moment. They had never been one when you think about it. He was raised in the palace of Pharaoh. They had been slaves. They didn't really relate to him. He was, like this guy from the nice neighborhood who lived in a palace and we were doing the bricks, okay? Now he's part of them. Through this sin, they become one. Moshe and the Bnei Israel really become one. And from that moment, Moshe Rabbeinu will go up again on Har Sinai to negotiate the forgiving, to negotiate with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to forgive the Bnei Israel. And since he's part of them, now since he needs to be forgiven, his voice is different. He has much more voice. He's going to do it with all his heart, with all his might, right? And so for 40 days, again, he goes up and he asks for forgiveness. And then comes down and he will go again for another 40 days. So now we are the 1st of Elul and Rosh Chodesh Elul. Remember, like it's 1 month before Rosh Hashanah. It's this moment in time when all the rabbanites probably invite you to come to shul to listen to the shofar. Is the moment of reconnection. We start preparing for Rosh Hashanah. We say that the king is in the field. Hashem is close to us. There is a special energy in the air in the 1st of Elul until Rosh Hashanah. That's 30 days and 10 more days. 40 days, we are on the day of Yom Kippur. During 40 days, this time, Moshe Rabbeinu is going to be with Hashem, and now he's going to work on the second set of luchot. And he is going to carve them. He's going to really put so much effort and involve himself so much in recreating the relationship between Hashem, who has been cheated on, and Am Israel. When there is a broken heart, we feel like everything is done. We feel like there's no way this relationship will ever be the same. And we're right. It will never be the same. Never. It will never be the same, but it can be even better. It can be stronger if we put the effort, if we do our ishtadlut to rebuild, to ask for forgiveness, to be together, to show the other that we are going to work on that. Then you know what happened? Just like if you have ever had like a wound on your skin, you notice that when the skin recovers and heals, there is what we call a scar. Thank you. A scar. Did you notice that in this area of the scar, the skin is thicker? It's stronger. Hakadosh Baruch Hu could have made it difficult for Am Yisrael, his wife, to cheat on him. He could have avoided that. But you know what? After 40 days of honeymoon, he needed to test their love. He needed to give the first challenge that we all had. And sometimes it happens the first week after marriage. Sometimes it happens the first month after marriage. Sometimes it happens a year, 2 years, 3 years for the lucky ones. But one day or the other, we all experience that first adversity, that first challenge, that first test. You said you love me? So now prove it to me. What are you able to do for that relationship? What are you up to? What do you want for that relationship to continue? And this is when we see that some relationships will end because they were not meant to be, because it was not the right one, because sometimes it is the right one, but we are not strong enough. We're not brave enough. We don't want to show our vulnerable side. We don't want to accept the efforts that it requires and the pain, because it's painful to have a broken heart. But if Hashem did that, it's to make us understand that in any relationship, there will be challenges, there will be disappointments, there will be feelings of being left alone, of being how do we say, like cheated by, right? If we want, we can make it stronger. If we want to invest ourselves in this relationship, we should know that this relationship will be even stronger. And that's why Hashem made, since the very beginning of creation, this happen. If you think about it, the first human beings ever created were Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve, right? What happened to them? They also sinned. They also cheated on their promise. They promised Hashem that they would not eat from the Etz Hadat. They would not eat from the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And what did they do? The same day. And they had Hashem in front of them the same day. They sinned. They missed their promise. This is the plan of Hashem. This is how he creates a stronger bond between him and us. And this is also what we can learn. Now, let's go back. So on we said the 10th of Tishrei, for the last 40 days, so 120 days after the first time we received the Torah, what happened? Moshe Rabbeinu comes back down. And you know what he finds? Finally, with those heavy hand-carved tablets, he comes down. And he's so holy, by the way, this time, that nobody can look at him. He has a radiance. He's shining because he's so more elevated. He's so much closer to Hashem that now he needs to cover his face with a mask to be in contact with other people, because his connection to Hashem is so strong that it's radiating on his face, right? Now, Hashem accepted and forgave the Bnei Israel, and he is bringing those luchot. And where are those luchot going to be held? We said, in the Aron HaKodesh. And you know what else is in the Aron HaKodesh? Inside of the Aron HaKodesh lie also all the little pieces of the first luchot. And what does it teach us? It teaches us that all the brokenness that we go through in our lives, we don't need to push them. In French, we say under the carpet. We don't need to forget about it. We need to understand this is part of our journey. This is what made us grow. Had I not been broken, had I not went through that challenge, had I not been into this pain emotionally, had I not lived it through this very difficult problem, I would not have been the person I am today. I learned with a Rebbetzin on Monday morning, and this week she said, I don't remember from which Rav she quoted that, but she says sometimes, we are in a situation and we wish there was a way out, right? We have all been in this situation individually, and now we are in this situation globally. Olam Israel, we want a way out. And what are we asking for? For a nest, for an open miracle. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please open the ocean again. Just wipe out those crazy people who insult us, being Nazis, being like actors of genocide. What do they know about us? Nothing. Just wipe them out in 2 seconds like that, like you did in the past. We wish we could have a silver lining telling us in this darkness, we're about to find the solution. We're here, we're that far away from the Geulah, from getting out of this problem. Sometimes the only way out is through it. We have to go through it. Let's think about it a moment. When we are inside of a nisayon, of a problem, of a challenge, of pain, we tend to want to avoid it. I just want a way out. There is no way out. This problem has been made for you, especially custom made for you to be able to become the person you have the potential to become. And this is your Mitzrayim that comes from the same root as Tzirim, that are the labor contraction. If you want to give birth to yourself, you have to go through that. There's no way out. Those of you who gave birth, and Shabbat soon, B'ezrat Hashem, B'shara Tova, you know that when you're about to push the baby out, you would say, okay, take it out in another way. I can't. Okay, give me like an anesthesia to find some way to put it in my husband and he deals with it. Okay, why is it me again? Right? Sometimes there is no other way than going through it. We have to face it and find what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us inside in order to deal with that. Which resources, which talents, which tools do I have? He gave me something. Otherwise, I would not have to face that. Right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to open to questions if you if you want to ask some questions, with pleasure, or if you have comments or anything you would like to share. And thank you, Brigitte, for tonight, for opening your party hall to us and to that class. It should bring you a lot of light, a lot of happiness, a lot of simcha, a lot of shalom, and only good news and revealed good also, Bezrat Hashem. Yeah, and serenity and success in your business and everything else. Bezrat Hashem. Any questions? Anything you want to share? No? Okay, so thank you so much.